Growing up as a kid in Oklahoma, where I'm from, the Chili Bowl is the biggest race that we have. The Chili Bowl has kind of been my favorite race of the year. Growing up a dirt racer in Oklahoma, that's kind of the holy grail.
fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got really outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top here!
Oh my god! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go! Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Hello, one and all. Welcome to SimSpeed TV for this, the 11th round of the Oceanic Formula 3 Championship, held, of course, by Oceanic Sim Racing. We are here at the second last round of the season at Belle, the Detroit Belle Isle Grand Prix Street Circuit. And this is one of those places that's harder on the cars than just about anywhere else. What a way to start capping off this season. My name is Reese Gardner. Joining me in the commentary box, David Haynes. David, we're coming up towards the end of this championship now, and this particular place is probably going to throw a few spanners into the works.
Yeah, exactly. Pointy end of the championship. It's getting exciting, and it's, I think, a lot closer than it looks on the standings. But nonetheless, yeah, this circuit, my goodness, it's not easy at any point. There's a couple of good overtaking opportunities, like into this corner that we're just seeing here towards the fountain complex. But there are so many places that this track can bite you, and just about, every single corner is an opportunity to throw your race away when there's only one or two places that are an opportunity to, be a hero.
Yeah, exactly. We got the championship standings up on screen right now. Adam Briggs is your championship leader. Alex McKellar and Cameron Dance showing up in second and third there. And I guess that really shows that those three guys have been among the most consistent finishers this season, and really goes to show more than anything that in this series, it's been the people who have survived that are the ones that are coming out on top.
Exactly. Even last week, when Adam Briggs had a very shocking start to his race at Sebring, he got the car fixed, he got back out there, he just got the points for finishing, and it was quite a good drive back up to 8th place. But that was the kind of thing that he needed to do to keep his championship lead. That's what he's going to need to do at a minimum at this round. But really, he's got to be looking for another podium, because Cam Dance, last round out, absolutely dominating. If he keeps that up, he is a real threat to the championship.
Yeah, certainly is. Cam Dance, one of the guys that's really shown his worth in this series, along with the likes of Adam Briggs. So Dance doing laps around the circuit at the moment in this warm-up session. We have about 3.5 minutes to go here, and you can get a really good view of the route around this Belle Isle circuit. Bumps all over the place, especially on the exit of that hairpin. The car's bucking and diving absolutely everywhere. In corners like this, with not much runoff, it's hard to sight the line through here. A car like this that can snap at the drop of a hat, you really need to be on your toes around here.
Yep, so let's talk about what's happening right now. 3 more minutes left of the warm-up. Qualifying has already happened. We'll get a look at the timing tower there, just showing you what laps the drivers are doing in this warm-up session, and then it's going to be a 23-lap race with a compulsory pit stop, and at that compulsory pit stop, drivers are required to change all 4 tyres. No fuel restriction in play. It's possible to start the race with enough fuel to make it to the end, but they have to pit at some point in the window and change the tyres. That window is from the end of the second lap to, I think, the start of the penultimate lap. It's very, very wide, but it can't be the first lap and it can't be the last lap.
Yep, exactly right there, David. That's the rule that's been in place throughout the whole season, and usually we've seen drivers take their stop more towards the middle of the race, but we've had a couple of outliers in recent rounds that, oh my goodness, that is an example of what can happen around Belle Isle if you're not too careful. But we have seen a couple of outliers in the field that have decided to take their pit stops really early or really late, and they've come away with good results. It's interesting to see a bit more experimentation out there.
Yeah, certainly. If you're in the top 3, it probably plays to your strengths to stay out a little bit longer than the rest of the competition. But if you start well, then have some problems get shuffled down the order. There's nothing wrong with coming in a little bit earlier than everyone else, maybe getting some of your car fixed up a little bit, put those new tires on, warm them up, and then, you know, put in some good laps with a potential undercut. There's different strategies that can play out depending on where you find yourself, and really it just comes down to finding the clean space and being able to put in quick laps without too much pressure and without risking too much.
That is a lot easier said than done at a track like this, just across the border from Canada in the city of Detroit. It's a circuit with a very fast opening section. Those 2 sweepers start the lap and walls very close at all times. As we take a look at the scenic cameras taking you around the circuit, very high curbs as well, which the drivers are going to have to avoid. So hitting your marks and staying safe, especially in a full field, it's no easy task around here, but the drivers are going to have to find a way.
And look at that beautiful bulk carrier, because this island,
gorgeous,
is in the river between Detroit and Canada. So in the far of that end of that shot was Canada, but we find ourselves in the USA. That's a nice little international border right there.
Steamship lines. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it might be slightly generic. I'm not sure iRacing have licensed that. But yeah, just to quickly point out, look at how good Aaron Lee's warm-up time was. He's looking very well and truly clear.
Yeah, certainly was, but it's going to be Tim Delisle who takes pole for this one. Aaron Lee joining him on row 1. Shane Van Gisbergen and Cameron Dance, 2 Kiwis, taking up the second row. Adam Briggs, our championship leader, in 5th. Danny Davison, Reese Keane, and Guy Leach in the top 8. Mitchell McLeod and Sam Doby rounding out the top 10.
11th place, Ashley. 12th is Philip Worley. 13th, Sean Carron. 14th, Trevor Forster. 15th, Craig Newell. 16th, Craig Jones. So in all Craig row 8. Behind them is Matthew Nethercote, Sam Kay, Simon Black, and Paul Mansell.
We're going to go through the rest of the field there, as the gridding time is going to be rather short for this one. But those are the rest of your starters here. It's a very big field, 33 cars, and the revs are rising here at Belle Isle. Open turn 1. Who is going to come out alive? The green flag flies. Tim Delisle getting a very good start there. That's the kind of jump that he needed. Short run to turn 1, covers off Aaron Lee, takes the lead, but how is the rest of the field going to fare? We're going to come up to the first braking zone and dance. Oh my goodness, Aaron Lee! Whoa, 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 my goodness, Aaron Lee tumbling through the air. That is huge! My goodness! How on earth did that happen?
He was very, very far up the grid, and something on earth has happened there. Up in the second place is Shane Van Gisbergen at the expense of Cameron Dance. Dance is having a tough time there, and Briggs is going to try to capitalize through there on Danny Davis.
Indeed, he is going on to this this back stretch. Oh my goodness, the track's blocked down there at the end of the circuit. That is a fairly awkward place for people to be upside down and driving into each other. Jamie McKnight, one of the drivers there, to come off worst. Let's take a replay of that particular incident. We'll say though, we've reviewed Aaron Lee's incident. He did that all on his own. He just lost it on the exit of turn 2. And then on into the wall, and the car just would not come back to him. We're going to stay with some other drivers here. Just take a look at what on earth happened in the opening stages there. A couple of cars getting turned around, but the majority of the incident happened a couple of corners after that.
Yeah, Jamie McKnight was involved with plenty of it. Oh, was that
Briggs?
a DPR car that was already around Philip Worley and then made potentially contact with McKnight. We'll see it from Worley's perspective. Cold Tyres just understeers, hits the wall, finds himself sideways right on the racing line. My goodness, that is absolute carnage. In this concrete canyon, there's nowhere for the other cars to avoid it. It's just wall on one side of the track, wall on the other, and maybe you can fit 3 cars wide through there.
Yeah, well, that really goes to show more than anything as we see another car spun around. That you really need to be careful. That's Cameron Dance around. That is going to put a big dent in his title hopes here. Remember, there are 2 there is a drop round in this series, but Dance will not be wanting to have that happen to him. See what went on. Just riding over the bumps, and he lost it on his own. Story of the season for half the field. These cars are very difficult to drive.
Yeah, exactly. I think Cameron Dance has done a very good job keeping it out of the wall there. Certainly, it looked like it was bucking over all of the bumps through there. He's managed to just hold on to not damaging the car, but up in a 2nd place, Shane Van Gisbergen and more cars around Craig Newell.
Yeah, Craig Newell this time, Simon Black missing a nose. And this really goes to show, like, you really do need to be careful in the opening laps of races like this, especially with the Formula 3 cars. They don't start on hot tyres. Tyres are stone cold when you get out onto the track. You need to give them time to warm up, and you need to be careful going along this track between these walls. It's not a very good time for anyone if you end up losing it on your own and causing a wreck. Reese Keane and Guy Leach are battling quite hard at the moment, coming down at the back stretch. No, not a straight at all. Oh my goodness. Black with more issues. But Guy Leach pacing down Reese Keane here. And this is a very difficult part of the circuit. It's not easy to put a move up the inside around a place like this anyway. But oh goodness me, that's a spinner.
Or McLeod, different Torque Inc. car. So Mitchell McLeod having a tough run of it there. Again, I think very fortunate to keep out of the barriers. Car doesn't look too damaged. That battle continues for 5th place though. Leach is right behind Keane and just hasn't found a way through yet. Really only 2 solid overtaking opportunities. The next one is the end of this straight. Does he get a good exit out of 1 and 2? I think he does, but here is Cam Dance. He's making a bit of a recovery as well. We go back to Leach and Keane. Leach thinks about it. Can't do anything into turn 3 this time.
Yeah, and turn 3 is one of the few unambiguous overtaking spots on the circuit. You can really put one up the inside there if you give it a red hot go. But everywhere else, it's snaking between these concrete walls, riding those bumps and just trying to survive for the most part. Seems like Keane has got the measure of Leach there, but Leach does seem to be quite good in those corners, so we'll have to wait and see what Leach can do. He is 4th place in the championship at the moment, is Guy Leach, so a good result here will definitely put him in good stead coming into the final round. As we take another look at the lead, Tim Delisle is starting to face pressure from Shane Van Gisbergen. And SVG, he's been plugging away the last few laps, getting over the initial chaos. He set the fastest lap of the race so far, last lap, as they begin lap number 5. Such a good view from on top of the nose of this car, and that bump that you go over on the exit of turn 2. That's what threw Aaron Lee off, and something's throwing Trevor Forster off because he is certainly not in a good place right now.
I would suggest he was not facing the correct direction either.
I would agree with you.
Here's your battle for 3rd place. Briggs, your championship leader, is trying to fend off Danny Davison, who's looking quite quick indeed. Briggs is probably in a conflicted mindset right now.
Oh no, it's just Danny Davison getting very close to the wall there. Ran a little bit wide. That wouldn't have helped him at all. It's always a bit gut-wrenching when you see drivers get so close to these walls, David.
Exactly. So if you're Adam Briggs, you're thinking, how hard do I want to defend this position? Because you always want to get the highest finishing order you can. You don't want to be giving away positions. But if Danny Davison goes for some kind of kamikaze dive bomb, if you're Adam Briggs, you've got to be looking for that. And you'd have to say in that situation, you just let him go because you're the one with more to lose.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's the dilemma that you face as a championship leader. Oh my goodness, and the leaders coming through here on some lapped traffic. Todd Atkins and Alex Court down in 24th and 25th. They just passed there. That has allowed Van Gisbergen to really creep up onto the back of Delisle now. And you can't see SVG through Delisle's wing there. You can see him in that shot. Just shows he is creeping up onto the back of Mr. Delisle there.
Yep, Delisle, our winner at Sebring, I think that was 2 weeks ago. Last time I remember seeing Shane Van Gisbergen in the background there, that was Todd Atkins, I think, having some problems. Yeah, last time we saw him was at Okayama, where he was very, very quick, was SVG, but didn't get to the finish. This time, he's looking mighty quick again. He's thinking about a move, won't get it done this time. He's certainly looking a little bit more consistent than he did at Okayama. This is getting a very, very close battle.
Yeah, certainly is. And you know, if Shane just gets a whiff of a potential move, he is going to take it. He's probably putting down some laps here at a street circuit in a bit of in-sim prep for the Adelaide 500 in a week or so's time. Doing a very good job at the moment, but Tim Delisle as well, just staying ahead. That's what's important here. Now, if he can get a good exit out of turn 2, and he does, he's actually pulling away a bit from Van Gisbergen initially, but Shane, with the slipstream, having a bit of a look, still not close enough to get the move done.
Yeah, Delisle was quick and bordering on unflappable at Sebring, but he's just not quite as quick here. Don't want to take our eyes away from this battle for too long, but Davison has gotten through on Briggs for 3rd position. Not sure how or when that happened, but probably not a catastrophe for Briggs to just be going along in 4th place right now, especially when Cameron Dance is still back in 8th. Van Gisbergen gets the slipstream on the backstretch where you can wave at Canada, but nothing this time.
Yeah, certainly not, and that section of the circuit is so borderline. So close to hitting the wall at all times. You got to be careful, and SVG has not been careful. He spun around, so that has put paid to the lead battle. That has allowed Danny Davison up into 2nd, Briggs into 3rd, and looks like that is a lapped car ahead of Shane Van Gisbergen, so he keeps 4th. That's Sam Katakuzanos in 23rd.
Yeah, okay, so again, very lucky to get away with that not hitting the wall there for Shane Van Gisbergen. It just shows that it's difficult to get the power down. The bumpy bit here is just there.
Oh no!
Huge accident.
Oh, that is a big one. Very big one. Sam Doby, very unfortunate to be involved in that one with Craig Jones. Let's have a look at this replay. It was coming through the slow infield section. So Jones got an all right run through there, but it was at the exit of this set of turns that I think it went awry. Yeah, oh goodness me. The thing is with that happened there with Jones was he got on the brakes to try and recover the car in a slow... Whoa, okay. That's a surprise. Daniel Misdale with many problems out of that as well, primarily flying through the air. Let's have a look at it from his perspective. So Jones had already had his off, and then, oh no. Well, I mean, to be fair, not many places you can go in a situation like that.
We've talked about it already. There's no grass, no runoff areas that you can scoot your way through. It's just the racing surface and concrete barriers either side.
Yep, that's it. Well, Cameron Dance will be ruining his early troubles as we take a look at Ash Lear behind him, pursuing Dance, but I do think that Cam has the edge for now. What Dance will be looking to do from now just get in those lap times and stay out of those walls, because you never know what can happen. Chris Barnes and Derek Mobbs at the moment on screen. These guys battling for positions just outside the top 10, but it still means a lot to them. They are still battling very hard.
Yep, precisely. Battles all through the field, and looking at these two, both of them up a lot of positions from where they started, 18th and 16th positions. Just going to show you can achieve a lot if you just stay out of trouble.
That's it. I mean, if you stay out of trouble has basically been the arc words for this season, because every round we've had at least one of the drivers, at least two of the drivers who should have been at or near the top make a mistake and spin. So once again, it has been those guys that you wouldn't usually expect to see right up the pointy end, the likes of Briggs and Dan, that have come off best.
Yeah, indeed. Speaking of that, I think Shane Van Gisbergen's closing up a little bit on Adam Briggs. Briggs won't necessarily have third position forever.
No, certainly not. And once again, as before, it's just a case of Shane Van Gisbergen. He is not in the championship fight. Adam Briggs is, but you can see Van Gisbergen is noticeably faster. So probably the best course of action is if Van Gisbergen is to pass Briggs, make it clean, for goodness sake.
Yep, certainly. We've seen enough overtaking moves, and they've been a bit sloppy. We've seen people have enough problems keeping it on the black stuff without having to go too wide through anywhere, without trying to break in unconventional places.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Right on board with Adam Briggs. Back at SVG. Oh, and again, at the same spot. Van Gisbergen not having a good time there, and neither, it seems, is the man behind him. Guy Leach, meanwhile, goodness me. Oh, saw an opportunity there, did Guy. Almost took it, but Van Gis was a little bit too far towards the middle of the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, the key to being a race driver is consistency, but hopefully not consistency in spinning in the same place too often. I mean, clearly, I don't know what it would be. Maybe he's using a lower gear to try and put the power down on the exit of that corner. It's a really tight corner. It's bumpy on the exit. And again, these cars, you know, they're light, but if they're not moving through the air quickly, they're not making all of that downforce. It's just purely the mechanical grip, and you lose a lot of that as you crest some of the bumps.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what makes Belle such an incredible challenge in series like IndyCar. Van Gisbergen once again gets out of shape on exit. These cars are pretty fast on their own, but they are still a lower level open wheel feeder category. Seeing IndyCar race around here is enough to put hair on your chest. Being in the driver's seat of a Formula 3 car, just about the same.
Yeah, indeed. And I'll tell you one thing, from our top group, we really haven't seen anyone decide on taking a pit stop yet. It's lap 11 of 23, and really the only people we've seen come through and take their pit stop are people who've had troubles, people who've already run into issue.
Yes, indeed. We're just going to a replay because something has happened to Alex John. Now, that's on the exit of turn 2, just losing it through the mid-corner. That was very close to collecting that other car. Alex John, a very unfortunate proceeding in this one. Also, Chris Barnes, I believe, taking a pit stop there. Unless I'm mistaken, and he's crashed, and it's been confirmed that he has. So let's take a look here at Damon Stockton. He has his front wing. I don't know if that's a trick of the light, but he's looking a little second-hand there.
And right on cue,
that's
goes and makes it sort of third hand. It definitely wasn't looking right, but it's a piece that can be changed very quickly on these cars in a pit stop. Just like on Formula 1 cars in real life and such, you know, you take the old one off, you put a new one on. He's going to come by the pits this time, and he might just opt to do that.
Indeed. The battle for 7th not over. Now Reese Keane is under pressure from Ashley Lear. Cam Dance is far away from these guys at the moment. So Keen, he's been running pretty well, has Mr. Keen. Running in the same position that he started in, but Ash Lear, it seems, is on a bit of a charge. Started in 11th, now running in 8th, so look for a potential move to be made very soon. Lear seems to have it sorted.
Davison has pitted from what was second place, so he's decided just a little bit over halfway is a good time to take that pit stop. And I'm honestly not surprised we're seeing some of the leaders staying out longer past the halfway point of the race at this circuit, where if you get buried deep in the pack or you have to deal with traffic, it's much tougher than at other circuits we've visited, like Road America or Sebring or the likes of those.
Yeah, exactly right. And another thing you got to consider about Belle Isle is there's not a particularly large amount of high-load corners here, so the tyres end up lasting quite a bit longer than you might expect. Of course, the concrete surface sort of balances that out by making it a bit slippery, but nonetheless, it is a good idea around here to stay out, it seems.
Yeah, although if you did heat up the rear tyres by spinning them over some bumps too often, if you did hurt them a little bit, you'd notice it through all of the slow corner exits, as Briggs now also comes into the pits. It's becoming the popular thing now, I would suggest.
Yes, indeed. That's Cam Dance going through on Guy Leach into turn 1. You don't usually see passes being made into there, but Dance made it happen, and you can see the pace difference already. Guy Leach trying to snatch a bit of slipstream away, but I dare say Dance will start to drive away from him here. A man on a mission.
He's got something to prove, I think, and if he can put in good lap times right now, while other drivers around him like Davison and Briggs and such have pitted, there's always the potential for an overcut, and he went really long last week at the last round, and that worked for him where he took the win. He's doing a good job making his way through some of the traffic now. He could definitely find himself on the podium at the end of this race, despite the issues that he had early on.
Yes, indeed. Well, we'll keep an eye, very close eye on Cameron Dance, one of our championship contenders here in the Oceanic Formula 3 Championship. Oh, that's not going to help him very much. A little bit of a tap of the tyre barrier. Seems that the majority of the field is spread out here. Guy Leach pulling into the pits behind Cameron Dance there. So, Leach, one of the next guys to blink. Seems like he's come to an empty pit lane, save for Chris Barnes. So, Guy Leach on his lonesome. Oh, actually, hold up. That's Keen.
Yeah, this is sort of the intermission right now, where some of the drivers have pitted, some haven't. Takes away some of the battles, and then once all of the drivers have pitted, we see it all clumps back up together again, and then we're on till the finish. It's sort of the calm before the storm of the last 5 laps.
Indeed. So, Leach and Keen have just exited the pits. Mitch McLeod exiting the pits as well. Reese Keen now has come out just ahead of Ash Lear. So, the battle is going to reignite.
Yeah, they've got Alex caught between them, but he is very polite, gets out of the way there between turns 3 and 4.
And Keen had a shorter stop, we're hearing, which is definitely going to help him in the context of this battle, but I guess now the pressure is on him to try and maintain that position. Obviously, Lear had a bit of damage to repair, because there's really no reason you'd take fuel at a stop unless you'd underfueled. So, Keen now, the challenge is to get those tyres heated up, make sure that he gets onto pace very quickly, and start setting those lap times. That's what's most important around here.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about those pit stops, the fuel, it fills very quickly, and these are cars that sip the fuel regardless. If you were going to take some fuel with your tyres, you really wouldn't need to add much at all. So really, everyone has basically identical pit stops because everyone has basically identical pit crews.
Yeah, that's exactly it. If you want true parity, just come to iRacing. Everyone's got clones of the same pit crew. Awesome stuff. The future is now, David.
What a beautiful future it is. Shane Van Gisbergen has pitted. He's come out behind Adam Briggs, who's behind Adam Davison, and the only two cars yet to have pitted, Tim Delisle and Cam Dance. Dance trying to take it very, very long, and we've seen that the leader almost always wants to stay out as long as possible. No point burying themselves deep in the traffic any earlier than they have to.
Yep, that's it. Very sensible way of going about things, especially around a circuit like this. Tim Delisle just coming up on a little bit of lap traffic up ahead. Trevor Forster, they've gotten by nice and cleanly. So, Ash Lear and Reese Keane, certainly one of the battles to watch here. Well as I think the battle for 13th, actually the battle for 13th is really heating up right now. Jamie McKnight and Sam Kay, who we saw outside the top 20 earlier on, he's had a really good run in the last set of laps and now really pushing the owner of West End Mazda.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we saw huge problems on the first lap for Jamie McKnight. Good on him persevering back out here, looking at 13th place and trying to hold off. I think Sam Kay is going to try and have a look at grabbing that away from him as McKnight runs a little bit deep through that corner, through the slower, more technical corners. I think Sam has the measure of him here, but in a straight line and through the faster corners, McKnight might have it.
Yeah, certainly seems that way. McKnight's just pushing too hard coming up to the apex. If he focused a bit more on his exits, he'd probably be able to stay ahead of Sam Kay, but that's where Sam's got him. Oh, a little bit of an oversteer moment. That's not going to help him. Sam with the run now. Katakuzanos versus McKnight down the front straight, and Sam is by before they even get to the braking zone for turn one. McKnight, I think, conceding that with a bit of relief. He was having a bit of trouble in the car there. Meanwhile, Dance is in the pits, getting his tyres replaced, is off the Jackson away. So now that leaves Mr. Delisle as the only driver left to pit. Where has Cam come out?
Right behind Van Gisbergen, ahead of Guy Leach in 5th place. And I want to say about 4 seconds adrift of Adam Briggs in 3rd place. Dance having just a little bit of a weave down the straight on his way towards turn 3, trying to heat up those tyres as quick as he can.
Yes, indeed, that's what you want to do. Get these tyres up to a good operating pressure and temperature. Otherwise, it is an absolute dog to drive on cold tyres. You do not want to spend any more time in that state than you need to. Keane and Lear still fighting very hard here. Oh yes, Delisle in the pits. I dare say he's not going to receive too much trouble.
Rather comfortable margin that did have coming into the pit lane as well. I think really we're looking at whoa, Cam Dance just clobbered some wall. Did I see that correct?
I don't know. That's oh yeah, actually he did. He did. He collected the tyre barrier just a little bit on the exit of the hairpin. That's not going to help him. Let's have a look at it on the replay here. Get ready for it. Whack! Right there. Fairly heavy hit.
So I was just about to say that I think one of the things we're going to have to look at is Van Gisbergen catching Briggs for 3rd place, and if those two battle for much, I thought Cam Dance had a shot at closing in Briggs as well, but suddenly I think Dance is going to be in limp home mode, try and protect that 5th place finish.
Yeah, definitely seems that way. He might have to take stock of his situation and see what he can do at the final round at Laguna Seca. So Keane and Lear continuing to fight.
And Delisle hasn't come out quite as clear as I might have thought. He's 2.6 seconds clear of Danny Davison, who already has warm tyres. Tim Delisle's going to have a few minutes before those tyres are up where they need to be. I think he's got just enough in the bag, but it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be.
No, certainly not. Davison has had a really good middle of the race. Excellent driving from him there in car number 1. But Tim Delisle, now that he has had a full lap out of the pits, I think he might start turning up the pace once again.
Now less than a second, Briggs from Van Gisbergen, and through turns 1 and 2, it's a great run from Van Gisbergen. He's going to start getting some of the slipstream from Adam Briggs, and this is the fight for your last spot on the podium.
Yes, indeed. Scintillating fight that we've seen a couple of times before. Unfortunately, it ended when Van Gisbergen spun, and he's done that once more, so be keeping my eye on him coming out of that hairpin, whether or not SVG can make that work for him. But Briggs once again facing that championship leader's dilemma.
He's got one of the prettiest cars out there, and I'm not talking about the livery, I'm talking about I don't see any dents or scratches on his front wing. There's a few drivers out there nursing just the teeniest bit of damage. Van Gisbergen's one of them. So is Cam Dance, who's about 5 seconds back from this. And very, very brave on the brakes is Van Gisbergen. He closes up a lot there.
McKnight, that is not optimal for him. Van Gisbergen right on the tail now of Adam Briggs. It looks like this is going to be a fairly easy move done. Briggs actually lifting off to let SVG go, so that shows you how much he cares about just consolidating his championship points, staying out of trouble. Danny Davison back in the pits, what for?
I don't see an incredible amount of damage on the car. Did he forget to fuel it correctly?
Back up on the jack.
I have no idea. He brought it in under its own power, it goes up on the jacks, it's changing tyres. That's bizarre, but what it does is it elevates Van Gisbergen to second, Briggs to third,
I see what happened.
to fourth.
I see what happened to him. He ran almost head-on, or a very heavy glancing blow into the tyre barrier on the exit of the hairpin. Danny Davison is out of that car now and out of the race, so CPR Kart Parts replay. We are taking a look. What happened to Danny Davison here? A little bit too narrow of an entry and right into the tyre wall. That damaged his front wing, and McKnight went around behind him. So that's race over for Danny Davison. Well, meanwhile, we take a look at Reese Keane and Ash Lear, who are continuing their fight. Next time they go by the start-finish line, it will be the start of the penultimate lap of the race, so time is running out for both of these guys. Keane seems to have gotten his car nice and sorted out of his pit stop, but Lear is continuing to apply that consistent pressure.
Yep, Lear 3/10 quicker last lap. They come out of what's effectively the last corner, and it's close as you like, just about 4/10 or so. Lear won't have a chance into turn 1, but if he can do well through turn 1, through turn 2, and pushes a bit wide of the apex in turn 1, down towards turn 3, this is the highest speed section of the course. This is your best chance for overtaking. Lear is closing, but I feel like he's not close enough this time. He's only going to have one more go at it after this lap.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to hope that he is in the right position to make that move and make it count on the last lap. I get the feeling it is going to be single file for these guys from here on out, at least until they get to the start-finish line and the white flag. Speaking of the white flag, our leader is about to take it. He's come out of the last couple of proper turns on the track, and it's just this right-hand sweeper. And there it is, white flag, lap 23 of this 23-lap race. And he seems more in control than ever, does Tim Delisle.
Yep, one more lap to take what could be his second win in the Oceanic Sim Racing Formula 3 Championship. He's made it all look a little bit easy so far this round. It's not been easy behind for Guy Lee.
No, it has definitely not. He's trying to get that car going again. He hit the wall pretty hard there. We're getting a replay of that. Happened to him on entry. Oh, he just lost it. A little bit too wide of the apex. Right into the wall. Almost collected the battle between Keane and Lear.
Yeah, and then this huge damage on that car, if I'm honest with you. The front wing, the rear wing, it's crabbing off.
Oh, goodness me. Difficult times on the last lap for this now 5th place battle. Drivers having the fatigue get to them is what's happening here. One driver who's let nothing get to him is Delisle, David.
Yeah, precisely. Here he comes. One last sweeping corner, as you say. The checkered flag will be in the air for the Positive Sim Racing driver, and he's a winner once again. Second place is going to be Shane Van Gisbergen, and Adam Briggs has been closed up just a little bit by Cam Dance, but Briggs will continue to grab more podiums in this championship.
Yeah, and that's going to bode well for his final round at Laguna Seca. So Briggs will be taking stock of all that has happened. Dance can sit confident knowing that he can recover very well from earlier incidents, but he'll want none of that to happen at the final round, and that is Reese Keane just beating Ash Lear to the start-finish line. Guy Leach is going to hang on for 7th position, it seems. And that's going to be nicely done for him. Goodness me, that's some weaving behind him. Looks like they're going to sort that out amongst themselves.
My award for most damaged car making it across the finish line goes to Craig Newell, who doesn't seem to be bothered by the fact that he's missing an entire front wing, and there's a few more wounded cars out there as well.
Yeah, Mitch McLeod amongst them. He's just lost a few positions in the last couple of turns. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Maybe he's underfueled the car. But Craig Newell, yeah, definitely the most damaged car out there. These are the unofficial results. So Delisle, Van Gisbergen and Briggs are your podium. Dance finishing 4th, letting Briggs know that he is still there and still a threat for the championship. Reese Keane, Ash Lear and Guy Leach behind them. Trevor Forster taking 8th position in the number 666, and the top 10 rounded out by Craig Jones and Scott Harvey with an amazing run from 25th up to 10th.
Yeah, and 11th place goes to Mitch McLeod, who's right with those guys. 12th is Sam Kay. 13th, Derek Mobbs. 14th is Damon Stockton. 15th is Craig Newell, and all these guys already one lap down. 16th is Alex Court. 17th, Jamie McKnight, whose race was thoroughly up and down. 18th is Philip Woolley. 19th, John Nikolaev. And 20th and 2 laps down, Simon Black.
Danny Davison, first of our retirements from this one. Unfortunately damaged for him. Sean Carron and Alex John as well. Chris Barnes, Paul Mansell, Sam Doby, Alex McKellar. It's like reading an obituary. Daniel Misdale, Shane Witt and Todd Atkins rounding out the top 30 here in the last 3 cars. Matthew Nethercutt, Nick Carroll, Aaron Lee, the biggest heartbreak of all, lost it on his own on lap 1 and unfortunately had to retire after that. But that brings to an end proceedings for tonight. Adam Briggs currently in the waiting room and now in the comms box. Welcome, Mr. Briggs. It's a 3rd place for you. Were you expecting that?
Put a lot of work into lapping this place cleanly. I thought it was going to be difficult to string 23 clean laps together, and that's what I really wanted to do. So I thought I might have a chance if I can do that. So here we are.
And it certainly sets you up well for the final round of the series at Laguna Seca. With Cam Dance having the issues that he had, you're in a better position than ever to take this title.
Yeah, look, we'll just take it one race at a time. That's a pretty cliche thing to say, but that's exactly what I've done the whole series. So there's no really reason why I should change that now. We'll put even more effort into Laguna Seca and do even more laps, and we'll come out and do another 23 consistent laps.
All right, well, before we let you go, Mr. Briggs, who would you like to thank?
Yeah, look, I'd really like to thank Southwell List and Hoists, Ben Max. There's also BetSmart as well, and all the guys at DPR. They really rallied behind me this week and helped me with setups and a whole heap of other different things, and they rocked up here to support me as well, so that was really good of them.
Awesome stuff. Adam Briggs there, 3rd place and your championship leader. And we'll go to the other title contender, Cameron Dance. Cam, it was not an optimal round for you, but you still managed to finish close to your rival.
Yeah, that colder weather actually caught me out a little bit. The car was a bit more gripped up than I thought it was going to be, which caused it to be a little bit more unstable than I hoped. So, yeah, a little bit unfortunate, but at this point, I think it's just going to go down to the final round, and pretty much what happens there at this point, looking at the points, it's, yeah, pretty close. So it's just going to be about being consistent and trying to finish as far ahead as possible.
Well, consistency is the name of the game. Is Laguna Seca a consistent track for you?
Most of the time it is. It will be really, really interesting with these stiffer F3 cars. I know they obviously don't like to tend to like bumps as much as the likes of a supercar or GT car or something with a lot softer and more weight and that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. I think it'll sort of be similar in some ways to Sebring and Belle, but we'll see what happens. I mean, so long as we keep it in a straight line for the most part, will be pretty much sweet.
Who would you like to thank, Cam?
I'd just like to thank the boys TTO Esports as always, and our sponsor SimWorks Race Simulators and Download Graphics and Thigh Designs, and you guys for putting on a good show.
Cameron Dance there of New Zealand. Well, this brings to an end tonight, David. Another interesting race in this championship, but it all comes down to Laguna Seca next week.
Yeah, exactly. Different breed of circuit still in the USA, and I can't wait to see these cars through some of those corners around Laguna Seca. I'm thinking particularly through the corkscrew is going to be so interesting in these race cars.
Yeah, certainly is. We hope you can all join us for that one as well. Same time next week, Thursday night. Don't miss it. Meanwhile, in the lead up to that, we've got a super weekend coming up because it's the first round of the Virtual Racing School V8 Supercar Online Premier Series. Going racing at Montreal for the opening round of the season. Be there on the iRacing Esports Network. The Aussie Driver Search iRacing Official V8 Supercar Series on Monday, also on the Esports Network. On Wednesday, we have Rallycross and Sprint Series Australasia. And the Friday after next Thursday, we do have the Australian Online Supercar Championship. So it's a bumper week for us at SimSpeed TV. Make sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube to get all the latest updates and news. We hope that you've all enjoyed this one, and we thank you very much for watching. We'll catch us later.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rhythm outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?